Hi, I'm Dr. Ken Mathis, and I'm going to demo Security for Confluence Data Center by Soteri. Security for Confluence is a tool which scans Confluence spaces and reports if there is sensitive information in them, such as passwords, API keys, bank account info, social security numbers, and so forth. Users can click here under the Spaces tab to access the global dashboard. Here we can see each space the user can administer. This list can be filtered by space type, as well as by name. We see each space's findings count, scan status, and actions we can take on that space. For example, we see that this space here is unscanned, and so we may scan it by clicking in the Actions menu and choosing Scan. After a short time, the scan will complete, and so we can refresh the dashboard. To see scan findings, we have two methods. The first method is exporting them into a CSV file. We may do this via the Actions menu for that space, here. Alternately, we may see all the findings for all the listed spaces by clicking on the Export All Findings button here. The second method is by going to the scan report for that space by clicking on its name. Here we see the details of each finding. Notice that we can narrow down the findings by page using these drop-down boxes here. By default, the most recent version of the page or blog post appears. However, space scans scan all versions of each scannable item, and we may view the scans of each version if we so choose. If we wanted to scan just one page, we can do so by clicking the Scan Page button in the upper right. To return to the space view, simply click this X. Notice that the Scan Page button has changed to the Scan Space button, which we can push if we needed to rescan this space, say after some pages were added. For each finding, we see the content title, version, and specific text highlighted in yellow which triggered the listed rule. A rule is a regex that each piece of content is compared against. Many rules also have additional filtering logic to better distinguish between actual secrets and seed data. At this point, we can determine if this is legitimate sensitive information or if it is a false positive. In the case of the Slack token, we see that it is a false positive, and so we may mark the finding as reviewed, like so. This means that any finding that matches this exact text in this space will no longer be reported, now or in the future. Accordingly, notice that the other findings rule has also been grayed out. We may control whether we wish to see these reviewed findings with this toggle here. We may also unmark a finding should we change our mind. All of the findings in the space can be exported to a CSV file by clicking on the Export Space button here. We may return to the dashboard by clicking here, or by returning to the Dashboard tab that we started with. We see here that auto-scanning is disabled, which means that pages and blog posts will not be automatically scanned when they are changed or added. Confluence admins can enable autoscan by clicking on this gear icon to go to the settings page. Once here, we can toggle this setting on. Suppose we decide that it's not appropriate for our organization to scan for certain things, such as AWS Client ID. We may find its rule and turn it off like so. Also, we might decide to scan for Bitcoin addresses by adding a new rule like so. Now, if we go back to our security scan report, it tells us that auto-scan is enabled, but the scan results are outdated because the enabled rules have been changed. The global dashboard will tell us similarly. Now when we hit the Scan Space button, we see that it's reporting the Bitcoin address, but no longer reporting the AWS client ID. All of these tasks can be performed via our REST API, so organizations can write scripts to automate their processes, obtain findings, and generate reports. The details of these REST calls can be found in the documentation, obtainable via this information button, which is also found on the global dashboard. This concludes my demonstration of security for Confluence. Thank you for watching.